My name is Greg Koorhan, and I was just interviewed by Keith Andrew. We had a lot of fun, so stay tuned.
I am your host, Keith Andrew. I'm here with a good friend, Greg Koorhan. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here.
Now, for people who want to know what my talk show is about, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. It's to prove to them is to amount to something. So hashtag break the labels. As I said, it's a special Halloween edition, hence the background and the outfit. I got my new necklace today. It's pretty cool. It's kind of small, but it says KeithAndrewNetWork. And that soon will be available for everyone. But I have some great merchandise. I'm making a list of people I'd like to add you part of it if you like to buy some. Also, you are also doing a giveaway that will also be in a description underneath the video. But starting off, what can you tell us about the description? And then we can jump right into it.
Great. So you want to know a little bit about me first?
Sure.
Great. Well, I am a filmmaker. I am an author, and I run a production company, a video production company called Crossbow Studio. I've had that business for probably 13 years now. We shoot mostly nonprofit films to help raise awareness or raise funds for worthy nonprofits around the area. My book that I wrote, it comes from my filmmaking background. I combine filmmaking with my marketing background, and it talks about, it's called Don't Sell Me, Tell Me, how to use storytelling to connect with the hearts and wallets of a hungry audience. And it's really about, deep down, spoiler alert, it's really about finding your core value and aligning your business with that, because that's going to give you a much better connection with your audience. So I'm really excited to be here today, because your core message about not letting labels define you is really right in line with the message that I'm trying to get out, which is that everybody has a story to tell if they just take the time to reach down and find out what that uniqueness is.
And if it's any possibility, I would have loved to work with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, my next question I was going to ask you, are you based in California, or are you on the East Coast?
I am on the East Coast. I'm just outside of Philadelphia, in a small one of the suburbs of Philadelphia.
Well, if you're ever in the New York area, we should definitely get lunch or something.
Absolutely, absolutely. My son lives up in New York. He lives up in Brooklyn, so
oh, nice.
I'll be up there from time to time.
No, we should definitely keep in touch.
Sounds great.
And the first thing I do want to talk to you about, you brought it up, is the book, Don't Sell Me Short. Who influenced you to write that book, and how many have you sold?
Oh, okay. Well, here, I'll show you. This is the book. Can you see it?
I forgot the Don't Tell Me.
Yeah, that's all right. Don't Sell Me, Tell Me. I was really, honestly, I was influenced because I was telling the same thing to my clients over and over again. They come to us for films to help them hone their story. I've been in marketing and brand development for years before I started my own company. So the common theme in my business is helping people hone their story down and get it in a much more compelling manner. So this is the summation of all that you don't have to hire me, you just buy the book. And that's the summation. That was the core reason for writing it. I'm humbled because it really got a great response. It was an Amazon #1 bestseller for 22 weeks.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so it stayed up there for quite some time in its category. So I've been really fortunate in that I've gotten response from people all over the world. I just had a conversation with somebody from Nigeria, somebody from London, who had read the book and wanted to reach out. So it's really been an incredible experience. And I'll share with you and your audience that we just signed a licensing deal. The book's going to get translated into Chinese, so it'll soon be in China as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And have you ever thought about doing, I'm not really a big reader because it's part of my disability. Have you ever thought about doing an audiobook?
Absolutely, yes. As a matter of fact, I'm working on it right now. So it should be out before the end of the year.
Oh, nice. If you can send me a copy, I would love to listen to it.
It would be my pleasure.
And I do have a couple questions for you off the air, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Actually, unless you want to hear it now, it's completely up to you.
Well, we're here on the show, so it's your show.
It's true. I'm very interested in hiring someone to dictate my book. And I was wondering, would you be interested in writing my book?
To write the book?
Yes. I'm just
we can definitely talk about how to get your book together. Yeah. Let's do it after the call.
I wrote a book originally. It was called, a lot of people make fun of it, especially my brother. It was called, he said he can't overcome controversy. So the title was, When You Overcome Controversy, Dreams Do Come True, even if you have a learning disability. He looked at it and went, okay, first off, you can't overcome controversy. And second of all, why does it look like it's a deaf picture? Because I wanted to make a cool shot. So it was me in a suit like this. If I was all black and white, it's like, it looks like a funeral shot. It's like, what is wrong with you?
Well, it's really important. The cover of the book is one of the number one things that will help it sell or not sell. If you think about when people kind of scan through Amazon these days, they see a little thumbnail of the cover and they make a snap judgment. So maybe your brother's onto something. I don't know. Maybe.
And he poking fun at it because it was filled. I worked with Exuberous, and I said to him, because I'm jealous of my brother, we have a love-hate relationship. So every time he does something, I try to outdo him.
Sure, why not?
So monkey see, monkey do, one of those things.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you wrote a book, I want to write a book too. And I asked Exuberous, is it readable? They said yes. Can people read it? Yes. Is there any spelling errors? No. All right, I got it. And one of the lines in the book was, on January 24th, I rised instead I was born. Or my mom went to Camilla College. Instead of saying, oh, your mom went to Camilla College. It said your mom went to Comedy College. So the book was supposed to be a joke. Yeah, I guess it's fine. But, I just basically threw it in a hiding somewhere.
I wish there was a comedy college.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Yeah.
Actually, you should kickstart that idea if you're interested.
There you go. Perfect.
Now, the other one I caught my interest was you work in marketing and branding. So with everything that you accomplished, what was your first step? And for you looking at something for I'm doing, do you have ideas for me? And how do people get into that?
How do people get into it? So there's many routes into...
Your mic cut off.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but you're very low.
Oh, I wonder what happened. Let's try this.
Oh, now perfect. Hey,
perfect?
Anything can happen live, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's live TV. So, how did I get my start? Wow, I went to school for marketing, and so I went right into advertising. I got a job in an advertising agency when I was right out of school. But today there are so many routes into getting into marketing, and there's so many aspects that you can get into, and lots of people that I know are going from being self-taught or taking some courses online or in community college or anywhere actually, and kind of hanging out their shingle as a digital marketing agency. So there's plenty of ways of getting in. We live in a really incredible time. So the route into the traditional routes into jobs these days is non-existent.
Now, with that being said, how does marketing and branding interfere if you want a normal job? For an example, when I worked for Saks, even though I'm on the do not hire list, long story about that, I was set up to fail. But one of the questions Saks asked me was, do you use social media? And I lied. I said, no, because I refuse to give up my talk show for any job that I do. So, but they said, do you have social media? So with that going back to marketing and branding, how do you get a normal job if your social media plays a part or it dictates saying, well, you say stupid things on social media, we don't want you to working for us?
Oh, they're trying to protect their own brand, really, I guess. So they don't want people representing them that are, wild cards, if you were,
Right.
saying crazy stuff. So, I mean, businesses are, they have the right. They have the right to kind of protect that. And you basically have to, my advice would be to go and seek out those companies that are a little more open and encouraging. And these days, the smart companies understand that their employees are all in marketing. It's not just a marketing department, but every single one of their employees is in marketing. So, and what they say about the company, their culture, the way they're treated, it all gets reflected out on social media. And the smart companies, as I said, they use that. So they build a better culture, get more people, get more of their employees in turning them into fans of their company. They'll use that social media for good, not for evil, but for good.
That's well. Let me give you an example. You're a co-founder. That's my next question. You're a co-founder of your company.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who influenced you and how that got started. But while on the subject, if I wanted to work for you and I said, hey, I have a talk show where I'm turning myself into an example, would you not hire me because I'm kind of like a public figure? Or do you think it's kind of like, what do you talk about, or your concept of the show doesn't really fit what we're doing?
Yeah, so I guess all of those come into play, right? As I said, the smart company will say, hey, he's got a show, he's got a platform, this guy's kind of a celebrity, we should see if there's some alignment. Does Keith talk about the same values that we're, aligned with? And if it is so, you may not say things the same way,
right?
But if you're aligned, then it's a win-win. If what you're talking about, again, I'm just going to make up an extreme example, but if yours was a political talk show that really polarized people, the company may or may not want to align themselves with you. So, you have a very strong message. I don't see any company that wouldn't want to align with you with the message that you're putting out there.
No, absolutely. And I mentioned I worked for Saks. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about the company. It's just the one tiny part I worked with. I give you an example. This is what happened. I went for the interview. The guy really liked me. Like, I give you an example. Like, you're the guy. You say, oh, I really like you, but we don't have an opportunity for you. I went, okay, well, thank you for your time. Yeah, I want to give you an opportunity. I'm going to make up some position for you. But your higher-up said, I do not like him. I do not like the fact he has a disability. I do not want him to work for us. So you hire me anyway, but you two always, were banging heads saying, I don't want him here. He's a good fit. I don't want him. So basically, I was on borrowed time because I knew someone was going to rip the carpet out saying, what is he doing here if you guys are always bickering? So basically, I finished the 90 days and I was placed on the do not. I was hired in August. I left after Black Friday or maybe before or whatever. But I finished the 90 days. and they're like, well, you didn't finish the 90 days, so you're on the do not rehire list. But it was kind of like you knew from the start that they set you up to fail. And do you think that's fair? And do you think they do that in every other store?
Well, I can't speak for them,
Right.
but I know that when you have an internal disconnect that it may or may not have anything to do with you, but when there's, like you said, the boss and his boss or whatever, when that's not when they don't have clear communication, you're not going to win. It doesn't matter who you are. So, I mean, that's all I can say is I can't speak for them personally and in what that situation is, but I've seen it often inside a corporate when it becomes more of a battle of their own egos rather than anything about you or your capabilities.
No, absolutely. I don't mean to bitch to you. I have a deal about
No, that's fine. I just, you reminded me of a situation that we had with one of our clients once when they came and they said, our brand is all about trust and our brand is all about transparency. And we visited their office, and their office was all closed doors and tiny offices. So nobody spoke to each other, and they always had closed doors and closed door meetings. That's not very transparent.
Right.
And that's not very trustworthy. And so we kind of had to call them out on it to say, look, we can't do work for you and build a brand around trust and transparency when you're not acting that way. You can't say one thing and act another way. So again, it has nothing to do with whether or not they were good at their job or it was a good company or they delivered good things for their clients. It had everything to do with themselves and with the way they are. So it's probably the situation that you were in too. You were just caught in the crossfire.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, what could you tell us about your company? Like I mentioned before, who influenced you? How many years? Have you ever worked with big name talent?
Yeah. So I spent a number of years in big corporations. I've worked with I was very fortunate to work with some of the largest companies in the world, like American Express, and Toyota, Sharp, and Electronics.
It cut off again.
Oh, can you hear me now?
A little bit. I can hear you. This one very high to very low.
I don't know why it goes out. So.
Oh yeah, I can hear you now.
Now we're back.
Yep.
So I got a loose wire someplace. I'm not going to move. I don't know it must be a loose wire or something.
I have that effect on people.
Yeah, maybe. So where did I cut out? I could just start over if you want.
Sure.
But I guess what I was saying, your question was, have I ever worked with anybody big? And years ago, I have. I worked in corporate before starting my own company, so I've consulted with companies on 3 continents and with some of the largest multinationals in the world. But when I started my own company, it was important to me to choose who I worked for because, like your experience, not everybody in corporate America is on the up and up. Right. So I now am in a position where I actually target the people that I want to work with and that I want to work for. So most of my clients now are local businesses. I do work with some regional and, we'll work anywhere in the United States. They don't have to be local to me. But if they're community focused and they're adding value to, their neighborhood and their communities, I'm interested. So, whether that's actually doing the work for them or in a more of a coaching capacity. I do a lot of coaching now for individuals, small businesses or freelancers. So I guess solopreneurs, you'd call them.
Well, you mentioned that. Can you give us an example of what you can coach?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we start I would start any coaching assignment with exactly where I tell you to start in the book, and that is to uncover your core value. What value you bring as well as what you value yourself, right? Some people value achievement. Some people value integrity. Some people value creativity. And so we'll do a lot of work on it's not therapy, but we do a lot of work on ourselves, and then try to connect that to the ideal audience, to their ideal audience. So we'll really uncover their vision, their values, their voice, who that ideal audience is, and the net result is helping them get clarity around what their message is, what their story is, and once they hone that story, how to promote it. I develop kind of three main pillars when I coach with people. The first is their platform, which is all the things that I just mentioned. What is your message? What is your voice? How do you show up in the world? The second is the promotions. So now once we know exactly what to say, how do we get it out in front of the right people? And then the third is you're more of a procedural or process, so that you are actually spending, not spending 100% of your time marketing, but you're actually automating some of that process so that you can get your message out in front of these people, measure what happens, and then grow. So the net result is growth and constant measurement. But it's it takes some time to get there. But I kind of oversimplified the steps, but that's basically where I take people.
Now, would money be a factor, or is it recommendations?
What do you mean?
For an example, people say, how much money does your organization make through recommendations? What outweighs what?
So, in other words, how much? Where do they get their recommendations?
Yeah. Say you have hundreds of recommendations, but your company's not really. You say, this company, it's great, it's wonderful. We have thousands of recommendations, but you don't have the money to kind of back it up.
Got it. Well, so recommendations and reviews are one piece. That's what I would call the social proof, right? That it helps people move from people buy when they know, like, and trust you, right? Trust is the actual buying motion, right? I trust you enough to give you money. So they got to know you and like you, and that social proof comes right around that between like and trust. So when they're after they're deciding to buy, that all of those recommendations and that proof may be the factor that tips you over the edge. The trouble is that if you don't have the right platform, like if you don't have a compelling story in the first place, no amount of recommendations is going to overcome that. If you don't have the right kind of outreach that people need at the right time to get to know you, to get to like you, again, no amount of recommendations is going to overcome that. It's one of the pieces, but it's not everything.
No, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
It does. Now, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, I'm going to ask you about your award-winning film. I had a brain fart. You are an award-winning filmmaker.
Yeah. And
also, I will ask you about social media, and after that, I will pass the show over to you. You can ask me and say anything you like.
Terrific.
Vanessa Lina. Adrian Marlowe. This is Cynthia Bastinet. I'm Sonia Fisher. This is Shane Smith.
My name is Alexandra Bowie. My name is Amelia Clover.
Hi, I'm Amy Linden.
Hi, I'm Anita Coke Brown.
Meg Green.
Hi, my name is Asata Caldwell. Hi, everybody. I'm Brooke from
Hi, I'm Brynford.
Hi, I'm Casey Dunn.
Hi, it's Cassandra Kavinsky.
Hi, I'm Christina Frieza.
I'm Cindy Hogan. I'm Courtney Sinella.
Hi, I'm Daisy.
My name is Deborah Jane East.
Hi, my name is Danielle Marcia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Victoria London.
Hi, I'm Heather Crona.
Hi, I'm Heather Callahan Stevens.
Hi, I'm J. Nicole Ralph.
My name is Jamie Patrell.
My name is Turi.
My name is Julia Brankovic.
Kathleen Wills.
Kimberly Amato.
Hi, my name is Laura Putton.
Hi, I'm Laura Chapanis.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Damas.
This is Michelle Mupo, a.k.a. Fuchsia.
I'm Rachel Rivera.
Hi, my name is Sarah Joy Mount.
Hi, I'm Susan Blender.
Hi, everyone. This is Venus Leone.
Hi, I'm Showtana.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Herrera, and I was just on the Keith Andrew Network. It was tons of fun. We used up all our time and then some. I really recommend this show, and try to be a guest on Keith's show. It was super fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 555, and here's a good friend, Mr. Greg. And I just want to say thank you for sticking with us and putting up with me. It's a wonderful day. It's almost Halloween. The sun's out. So with that being said, the first question I was going to ask you is social media. Can social media make you and break you? Make you or break you? Was everything you accomplished for being, I even wrote it on a piece of paper, from being a book author, from being a co-founder, from working in marketing and branding, and to one of my other subjects I was going to ask you, you're an award-winning filmmaker. Was everything you accomplished in your life, do you think social media can make you or break you?
That is a great question. I think it can contribute to both, as a matter of fact. I know plenty of people that have used social media as their only platform. And I've also known people that have ignored it at their peril. So, where they were not paying attention and, bad, I guess, comments or whatever would go viral without them even knowing or controlling it. And it really hurt their business. So I think it can do both. I think it can do both. I think if I were to recommend any one thing is that people generally get overwhelmed with social media quite a bit. And that usually comes when they try to tackle too many things at once. So I tell all my clients to start with one, just one. Pick the one. It's not the one that you like. It's the one that is where your customers are, and master that first. And once you got one, now you can start to build a system, and it'll be a lot easier to take on the next one, whatever that is. But you don't have to be everywhere.
That's true. A lot of people would say to me, I show up like a bad case of hemorrhoids. I just randomly pop up.
Well, there's a benefit to that, right? You can use it smartly. I was, in the early days of Twitter, I built a fairly large following. I'm not so heavy on it these days, but I remember people coming up just saying, like, you are just everywhere. And I'm like, I'm not everywhere, but it just seemed like it to them because things just kept popping up on the feed. So it can work. It can work.
No, I agree. For me, I'm on Facebook. This is what I mainly use. LinkedIn, because I have my main one and have my throwaway page. That's how we met. LinkedIn.
Exactly.
I have Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. There's Pinterest and Tumblr. Yeah, it's there, but I really don't use it. But my four main two, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't probably get all the talent that I needed.
Sure, absolutely. They're great places to connect and start to build a relationship, especially if you're not in the same area.
Yeah, I agree. For an example, I'm from New York and you're from
Pennsylvania,
PA.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I have interviewed people from Canada, from England, from one person. She wasn't Japanese, but she went to school over there. And from Japan. I interviewed one person from Germany, from Australia.
That's great.
Like you said, social media, you have this big pot, not actual pot that you smoke, but pot of everything you can just reach in. It's like, okay, I want to talk to someone in Canada. All you have to do is punch in a couple of numbers and there you are.
Yeah.
Compared to a couple of years ago where you just had a phone and you had to deal with phone bills and everywhere.
Right, exactly. Wow, so you've reached all over the world then with your interviewees. What is this, episode 5?
555.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Appreciate it.
That is amazing.
If you really want to get me nuts, you were supposed to be 855. But
I'm glad I made it in the first.
Long story short is I wasn't doing permission forms. So, it's pretty much how we're talking right now. But when I first started, I was doing phone interviews. Then I was recording from the phone. So what you saw on the screen is what the camera picked up. And people said, my agent said, my publicist said, you ask a lot of stupid questions. We don't like the video quality. We don't want to be seen as people like you. I'm now receiving death threats. How the hell that even came up? It's God knows what.
Yeah.
You don't take it down, we're going to sue you. So I said, because at the time I'm a big wrestling fan. So I said,
okay.
Hint the belt behind me. KeithAndrewNetWork presents Uncensored. So I did over 300. I took it down. I said, you know what? I'm paying for the KeithAndrewNetWork name. I'm going to do it. So I erased everything. And I said, from now on, you're going to sign a permission form. I'm going to tell you what the show is about. And once you sign it, there's no ifs or buts or whatever. You can bitch and moan all you want. Once you sign it, it's a done deal.
Yeah.
And thanks to you, we're up to 555 officially.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. That's quite an achievement. Most shows don't make it that long. They don't make it past, 10. So that's quite an accomplishment.
No, I appreciate it. I do have one question for you. I'm going to pass the remaining time over to you. What were some of your favorite films? Because you are an award-winning filmmaker. What were some of your favorite films you ever produced, and what were some of the worst?
So my films, like I said, most of our the films that we shoot are for nonprofit organizations, raising money and that kind of thing. But every so often we produce original work, and so they've all been short films up until this point. But we've been lucky enough to have screened in front of audiences across the United States and Canada, actually, from Toronto to Puerto Rico and New York to Miami and Sonoma to Oklahoma, and it's been a lot of fun. It's really, really fun when you can create a little story and put it in front of an audience and watch them react to it. It really got me hooked. So each project that we do is a little bit bigger than the last, and we will soon. We got a couple things in the pipeline. It's going to be pretty exciting coming in 2019.
And my last question, I'm going to pass it over to you, is what is your opinion of my show, and do you think it's good enough to actually go to the next step?
Oh, without a doubt. Yes. You can you can take it wherever you want. It's kind of where we started the conversation. Today, there's no one straight path, so you don't really have to ask anybody's permission to take it larger. If you want to go on a build an audience through YouTube and start reaching out, and you can grow as big as you want to, because we're in a different world today. You're in charge of your own marketing and your own reach, and you can get to your customers and your audience directly.
No, absolutely. Now I'm going to pass the show over to you. It's the last 2 minutes. Was there anything you want to talk about, anything you want to promote, any funny stories you'd like to share?
Any funny stories? No. The only thing that I do want to offer you and your audience, this is not an ad for the book, but I do have a gift for anybody who's interested. One of the core things and one of the core best things that happens when you really work on your own story is that you start to stand out and get yourself noticed by the people who really matter. Whether that's a business and you're looking for your ideal customer, or if it's in your own network of in your own community. So the gift is a little free guide that is, think of it more like a little jump start to being able to stand out and differentiate yourself and stand apart from your competition. I stuck it up at a URL. It's at my domain, gregkoorhan.com/Keith. And so it's GREG, and my last name, KOORHAN, as in November.com/Keith. And you can just go there and download this free guide.
And absolutely, it will be in the description box as...
Sure. It'll be easier to spell. Nobody ever spells my name right, so that's great.
And the last question I was going to ask you, last two actually, how can people follow you on social media? Are you on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn? How can people follow you? And when I first approached you to be a guest on my show, what was your... And you can be completely honest with me, because I like that about people. Be brutally honest. When I first approached you to be a guest on my show, what was your first reaction? And after being on the show, would you recommend it to your friends and colleagues?
So when we first connected, and I do this with every connection, I go and I check them out. I have to go find out, is this guy legit or not? And when I saw the volume of work that you did on your show and your core message of not letting labels define you, it didn't take me but a second to say, yeah, I'm in. We'll chat. There's no way this could be bad. So yeah, it didn't take me all that long. Oh, and you said after the show, after we now that we've spoken and had this little chat, it's easy and it's fun, and I would recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And did you want to plug your social media?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me at my website, which is gregkoorhan.com. You can find me on Facebook. My page is also under the same name. You can find my book on Amazon. Just search for Greg Koorhan, and I'll show up. It's an unusual name, so it's not. There's not that many people with that name. You can find me. Facebook there. You can find me on Twitter, same place. LinkedIn, it's just my last name, Koorhan. So that's the only difference. All the rest are Greg Koorhan.
And we're gonna do something fun, because I did mention this to you before. I want to see what our viewers have to say. Now, I just had a complete brain fart on my fart. Fart on my fart. Don't mind me. When I don't do my interviews as a way, but my disability shows more. So I'm trying to hide that. So I'm trying to think without hurting myself.
Yeah.
But, it's not easy to do. But
you're not alone in that.
I mentioned to you before we got started that you sound exactly like Jeff Goldblum. So with that being said, I'm going to throw up a little post for all our fans out there. If you believe that Greg sounds like Jeff Goldblum, say yes you do or no you don't. So we'll have a little fun with it.
I'm interested in to see where the poll goes.
I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road, and I do have a couple questions for you off the air about wrapping up the interview segment. It was a real honor and privilege, and I'm looking forward to part 2.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to be here.